Moving abroad now, Deputy President Paul Mashatile and French President Emmanuel Macron are meeting in France today. The meeting's aimed at strengthening diplomatic and trade relations and cooperation in multilateral forums. For more now on this, we cross to SABC News correspondent William Denselow in France. Good afternoon, William. Now, what are the key focus points of the discussions between the two countries today?
Step a bit closer. Again.
Well, the focus really for this week for the entire South African delegation, because of course it's not just Deputy President Mashatile that's in Paris this week. There are several ministers in tow as well, and trade very much has dominated sentiment. We have the South Africa-France investment conference that's been taking place over the last few days. But of course, after President Ramaphosa's bombastic meeting with US President Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday, there will be certainly plenty of discussions between French President Emmanuel Macron and Deputy President Mashatile at the Elysee Palace behind me as we speak for their working lunch. And the focus will be on global trade issues as well as how to handle bilateral relations with the US and specifically the Trump presidency.
Well, obviously that will come up for discussion, as you've said. How do you think that will affect any FDIs for South Africa?
Speaking to the Deputy President before Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to the Oval Office, he said that it was a sign of progress. It was a good thing that the South African President and his US counterpart were willing to have these conversations. The Deputy President said he was optimistic that progress could be made on issues such as bilateral trade between the US and South Africa. And speaking to the Deputy Minister for Trade yesterday, I asked him what he was expecting to come out of this working lunch between Deputy President and Emmanuel Macron. He said there's an opportunity really to touch base on issues of global trade. Of course, these trade tensions, we've seen global tariffs put in place by the Trump presidency. So he said the focus not just on expanding bilateral trade between France and South Africa, that has been a huge promise and pledge for this week, but also just how to get on the same page, how to navigate these incredibly choppy global trade waters.
Can you take us through the Canal Plus multi-choice deal that has been agreed upon?
Yeah, well, when it comes to the tangibles that have been ironed out this week here in Paris, well, a huge focus, of course, has been on trade. Over the last 8 years, roughly 70 billion rand has been pumped in to the South African economy by French investors. France is currently the 14th largest investor in South Africa, and the message from the Deputy President is that he wants to see France even further expand those trade relations. He announced that he's hoping for this investment conference that's been taking place this week to happen once every 2 years, so increasing these opportunities for investors to come together either in South Africa or here in the French capital. He also says that this is very much a two-way street. He wants to see more French investors coming into South Africa. He wants to see investors seeing South Africa not just as a place for direct investment, but also as a gateway to the wider region. And mentioning that it's a two-way street, also hopes that more South African investors can have greater access to the French market. So areas such as agriculture and tourism are two key areas that have been identified as well.
Well, thanks very much for chatting to us. That was our SABC News correspondent William Denselow coming to us live in France.